Welcome to another episode of The Profile. My name is Gary Dunn and I'm here to interview old Perth musicians. On this show we typically find out something about those old Perth musicians, and thanks to ProCopy we're able to bring you an insight in some of the more colourful members of our old Perth musicians. Oh. So tonight on the couch is very young Mr. Michael Parks. How are you, Michael?
Hello there, Gary.
Thanks for coming in.
Long time no see.
Very much so.
Nice
How
to
are
see
you, mate?
Yeah, good. Yeah, great.
Hey, look, I'm going to ask you a series of questions.
Yes, please, fire away.
Just firstly, because the producer makes sure that I do this, where were you born? Let's start there.
In Sydney, Australia.
Sydney, Australia?
Yeah, 1954.
1954. You came over from Sydney?
Yeah, came over from Sydney to Perth in 1980, March 1980. And yes, I was only supposed to be here for a couple of months, and yeah, 38 years later, here I am. Yeah.
So you're predominantly a guitar player, although you sing.
I was a bass player, really.
Yep.
Yeah, but then sort of progressed to played a bit of guitar, and then played a bit of bass, and then played a bit of guitar, and yeah, that's about it.
So what was the catalyst that brought you to playing guitar, playing bass, and singing?
Oh God!
What was the moment in your life?
Probably Mum and Dad buying me a really horrible acoustic guitar when I was about 14, and we went on a holiday up to Brisbane, and it rained for 2 weeks, and there was no TV in the little flat that we were living in. So I just started sort of strumming this horrible guitar and learnt to play Proud Mary.
Yeah.
So that was it. I was hooked then. Yeah. So I got back home and formed a little band with the guy across the road who played drums, and then we found out that girls like musicians, and it was all downhill from there.
Like we all did.
Yeah.
Your dad's influence on you, there was something we talked about earlier.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Dad was playing, he was playing in a band called The Classics. He was the singer in the band, and it was around the time of the Cold Joy and the Joy Boys, and the earliest memory I have of sort of seeing Dad in a band is when my grandfather bought a television set, the first television set in their street, because Dad and the band were playing on Johnny O'Keefe's 6 O'Clock Rock.
Okay.
And
wow, that's a big thing.
Yeah, it was huge.
In those days.
In those days it was huge. So yeah, they got this TV set out of the box and put the bunny ears on the top and everything. I can remember just sitting there and watching it warm up, and yeah, there's Dad on
wow.
6 O'Clock Rock singing Hang Down Your Head, Tom Dooley.
And so once you saw your dad could do that,
I thought, yeah, I can do that.
I can do that too.
Yeah. I was only 10 at the time, I think, but...
Yep. So what was the first concert you went to, Michael?
Oh, first concert. Gee whiz. Probably, it was, oh God, that's a hard one. Can I think about that?
You can think about that. Look, and you can't phone a friend. There's no 50-50 or anything like that. So, look, what was the first single you bought then?
First single was probably a Beatles track. Because my dad had record shops, so I never really had to buy singles or albums and things like that. So, but the first album I bought was Cosmo's Factory, Creedence Clearwater. Yeah.
You know, that's strange, because I remember arriving in Whyalla in 1970, and it's the first album I bought.
Really?
Cosmo's Factory.
Yeah,
so we have,
great album.
We've
Fantastic.
got some synergy. Yeah. In many ways, and we'll get to that. But okay, you left Sydney. You worked in bands in Sydney.
Yeah. After sort of playing with the guy across the road and finding out that girls like guys in bands, I ended up sort of following bands around and taking photographs of, like, black and white photographs of bands and selling it to different people in playing in bands, and Billy Thorpe and the Aztecs and people like that. And then Barry Lytton. I met a guy called Barry Lytton who was playing in a band called Rabbit. Who had the first singer. Rabbit had Dave Evans, who was the first singer in AC/DC at the time. Yeah. And I owned a PA system. I can't even remember how the hell I ended up with a PA system, but I had a PA system which I hired out to Rabbit, which they promptly blew up several times, but became friends, during the course of that, became friends with Baz, and we ended up sharing a flat together. He ended up playing in various other bands. And And he was trying out for this band called Jimmy and the Boys in Sydney.
That's going to be my next question.
Really?
You beat me to it. Come
okay.
on, tell us
do you want me to keep going?
Yes, please. It's interesting. I'm sure.
Yeah, well, it's about 1977, 76, 77. And he'd been trying to get in this band. I'd heard about them. I'd seen posters around Sydney, but I didn't really know what they were like. I knew they were sort of a punkish kind of band. They were sort of a naughty boy band. And
Very naughty.
I was working for my dad in the record shop at the time, and I wasn't naughty. And but Barry was slightly naughty, and he was trying to get into the band. And I just bought a bass guitar, so I'm sort of plunking away at home one night, and he said, "Oh, I've got to go for another tryout with Jimmy and the Boys. They haven't got a bass player to sort of fill in. Do you want to come along?" I went, "Oh yeah, okay." So I went along and met these two just bizarre people.
Ignatius and Joylene.
Ignatius and Joylene.
Yeah.
And we played an eclectic bunch of songs. They played Noel Coward songs. They played Frank Zappa songs.
Yes.
They played all these weird songs. And they had sort of charts, so I could sort of, oh yeah, it's G, okay, I can play G and D. And so I was playing along. And at the end of the night, after having beers and all the rest of it, Ignatius came up to me, and he had a really bad lisp, Ignatius. He sort of sounded like Sylvester the Cat.
Yes.
He sort of sounded like that, and he came up to me and went, "Hey, Parksy, what are you doing? Do you want to join the band?" And I went, "Are you kidding?" I said, "Barry is the one who's trying out for the band." I said, "I'm just coming on to fill in." So anyway, it was a very long ride home in the car with Barry, because they hadn't told him that he'd got the gig, and they weren't sure about Baz, but I'd got the gig. So anyway, it was all fun and games for 2.5 years with Jimmy and the Boys.
Because I think the first time I ever saw you, and you're probably going to deny this.
I wasn't in the band then.
Yeah, the Overflow, Jimmy and the Boys, Monday night.
Yes, Jimmy and the Boys did tour here, but I'd already been in Perth. I'd left the band.
You're
Seriously.
flatly going to deny this?
Yeah, I'm flatly denying it. I wasn't in the band at that stage of the game. And I know, you probably had a few too many red wines at that point.
No, it's just Des with Des Joes. We had him on the show a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
He sort of confirmed it.
What, that I was in the band?
Yeah, he was talking about all sorts of things.
Well, we all know what Des is like.
Okay. No problem. So, after Jimmy and the Boys...
Sorry, Des.
After Jimmy and the Boys, a very popular band called the Riffs, and I used to go and see you, I think, Tuesday night at the Broadway Tavern.
Oh, Broadway Tab. Wednesday night at the Broadway Tab.
Wednesday, sorry. Yeah. Bad memory.
Pom's night, Monday night.
Yes.
I can't even remember who was on Tuesday.
Big Fat Pie Night Tuesday night. I think the Riffs on Wednesday.
The Riffs on Wednesday, yeah.
Like, that was with Michael O'Hara.
That was Mick O'Hara, yeah.
And
Glenn White.
Yeah, that's right. A great band.
Barry Lytton, yeah. Well, Barry... See, the thing was with Jimmy and the Boys, I'd left. Barry was still in Jimmy and the Boys at that stage. We were sharing this flat in Cogra. Michael Chugg, who was the manager of Jimmy and the Boys at the time, sent Barry to Perth to suss out different venues for the band to come and play in. Barry soon found out that Perth was this amazing place. With the daily news on a Thursday or a Friday, you'd open it up and there's just bands.
It was hundreds
everywhere.
Yes, it was great.
And you could go to a pub, and the pub owner would give you $50 or $100 to play at the venue. Plus, you could put $2 on the door, take the whole door. Unheard of anywhere else in Australia. No one else was doing that. You had to actually pay to play in Sydney. It was So Barry promptly came back and said, "I'm leaving Jimmy and the Boys, and I think we should form a band and go to Perth. I've met this guy, Mick O'Hara, who's an absolute maniac, and he says he could be an amazing front man." Yeah. And he said, "I believe he can be."
Because you had a single, didn't you? Like something Army.
We had a single called "I'm Not Just Another Boy."
And not just another boy.
I'm not just another boy. And I think Army Zombie was the flip side of it.
Army Zombie, that was it.
Was the flip side of that, yeah. Didn't do all that well, really, at the time. But and the Riffs lasted for 2.5 years. We toured. We went over to Sydney. Yeah. Unfortunately, Barry came down with hepatitis. We had to come back to Perth. And Mick O'Hara left the band. I don't think he really wanted to, tour. He liked Perth too much. And
should have asked Ignatius to join that band.
No.
And then.
Oh no. Ignatius made millions of dollars, by the way.
Yep.
Since then, he's gone on to bigger and better things.
What was Ignatius's real name?
It was Ignatius Trappiger.
Oh, okay.
Because his sister Monica Trappiger ended up being the host for Play School.
Okay.
Yeah, and they formed a band called Pardon Me Boys with Joylene.
That's right.
And various other bits and pieces.
Yeah. So after the Riffs, came Perfect Strangers, or?
Well, no, the Riffs sort of came to when Mick said, I'm leaving, he was the front man of the band. He was pretty much irreplaceable. So the band fell apart. Glenn White, who was the guitarist in the Riffs, went off and played with the Waltons, was it? And he was mucking around with Don Mariani and different bands and sort of going in that sort of direction. And Barry and I, pretty much formed Perfect Strangers.
Yeah.
And auditioned different singers, and luckily we found Andy Clayton Smith.
Yes.
Who was
wonderful
amazing.
Performer.
Yeah.
So you had singles there, and I don't know if you had a part in writing them. I think you might have.
Question of Love was the first one.
Yeah, Question of Love, and then No Fear of Flying.
No Fear of Flying was the other one, No Reason.
Yeah, they were great songs.
Yeah.
At the time.
And Just Begun was the last single, which was in a shock horror movie. I think it was like a vampire movie.
Yeah.
In the end, they used it. But I'd left the band by that stage, and it was completely reworked by one of the guys from My Sex, the keyboard player, Murray. Do you remember Murray?
No, I remember My Sex and being very keyboard orientated.
But, the keyboard player from My Sex, he ended up reproducing it. Anyway, ended up in a movie.
And then, I mean, this seems to be a pattern. Either you leaving bands or Barry joining or going.
Yeah.
So Perfect Strangers got a new drummer. I think Marcel
Rodica from Mother Goose joined.
Yeah.
After Barry left, because I think the band was heading in that sort of more synthesizer-y, and we just wanted somebody a bit more dynamic and theatrical, which Marcel certainly was and still is. He was in the band for a couple of years. We were touring around, and then it was just getting a little bit too much for me.
Yeah.
And I left.
You toured East with Perfect Strangers as well, didn't you?
Yeah. We were in East with Perfect Strangers, and they did pretty well. Did some recording over there.
Yeah.
But again, I was married at that stage and little kids and all the rest of it. So.
And how hard was it? Obviously, very difficult, because I was a part of it and saw Andy, and Andy obviously had a.
Well, he had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and. I mean, that was horrific.
26, wasn't he, or something?
26, when he passed away. And I mean, I don't know, were you in the night after when Andy came up and saw us? At that stage?
No, I think it was about 2 months after.
Yeah, well,
obviously.
He'd been touring with Perfect Strangers in the East, and I hadn't seen them for quite some time, and we were playing up at Gobbles, and Andy came up one night and said, "Oh, look, guys, can you," speaking to Barry and myself, can you do a benefit concert for me?"
That's right. Yeah.
And we said, because he looked fine.
Yeah.
We said, what's the drama? He said, "Oh, the cancer's come back." We went, "Yeah. And what's the prognosis?" And he said 2 months.
Yeah.
And we went, "Are you kidding me? 8 weeks?"
It was really quick, wasn't it?
And he died before the actual benefit concert was on.
That's right.
We put the concert together out at the Herdsman Hotel.
So sad.
Yeah, and he'd passed away about a week beforehand.
Because I think that was the time as well where I was with The Kind, with Tim Count and Carl Pink, and then you saw us, or we saw you.
Well,
and
Barry was running around.
Barry wanted to get rid of some other people out of a band and get us in that band, and you came over to my place. I was living in Canning Highway, and we had a meeting on a Friday at 4 o'clock, and bang, we started next week, and I was there for 8.5 years.
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously, you're a founder. Paul Redman was one of them, and Barry Lytton, I think.
I mean, that whole process of putting that band together, because I think Paul and I had been up to Gobbles, because we'd been up to Gobbles a few times. You've got lots of free drinks and things.
Yes, absolutely.
And JA, thanks very much. And
we saw them last week.
We saw the band that was there, who were really good. I'm just trying to remember who the guy was, the guitarist who was sort of the main.
It was Graham Green, I think. Intruders. Was it Intruders or no?
No. This is it was before them, but they had music stands on stage with like sheet music and just sort of playing everything note perfect. It sounded fantastic, but there was just no personality. And it was around about the time when that movie The Commitments was out, And that was a whole idea. And we said, we'll get a band. We got some of the guys from Whopper, brass players.
That's right. So it was Joe Smith, Jimmy Smith's brother. And, and we went to Vic Park and there was a little theatre there where they showed movies before they came out. And I think we all went there and watched The Commitments and went, wow. And
put the whole thing together. And it was only supposed to last for a little while, but like I say, 7 years. But I mean, the initial band, Barry, myself and Paul were paying the other players, because I don't think you were in the band at that stage of the game.
Me, Tim and Carl came in.
There was a guy called Priam playing guitar, who was sort of a hippie sort of dude. Priam, if you're out there watching, fantastic guitarist. He was playing guitar, and there was a different bass player. But
Nick Needers.
Oh, Nick, God almighty.
Yeah, Nick Needers.
And Steph, I think, was singing.
Steph was singing. And so Nick survived, Steph survived, Jimmy survived.
Lisa Hill, I think, was the other girl singer.
Seal on the Beam.
Seal on the Beam.
Yeah.
So Barry and I were paying these guys for each gig that we were doing, and we were doing the odd gig here and there.
Was $1.50 enough, you think? Or?
No, it was about $80 each. Come on, it was big money back then, mate. And but we were going broke, and our last gig, it was the very last gig, which was at the Red Parrot. And it was going to be, we're going to split the band up because we couldn't get into Gobbles because the band was still there. Yes. We couldn't get them out. And luckily, Bob Maher and J.A. turned up after a big dinner, and they're sort of dancing around and stuff, and they came up and went, "Oh, you guys are fantastic. Oh, this is great." I said, "Yeah, I've been trying to get you to come and see the band for the last 3 months." And he's going, "Oh, wow. Well, look, I'll give us a call on Monday and, we'll organise something." So I gave somebody gave him a call, and he said, "Oh, well, I think the guys want to go on holiday for a couple of weeks or whatever." Big mistake. Big mistake.
They tried to do that to us in about 4 or 5 years in. Go to Bream for a month. We did.
Oh, really?
And they tried 3 different bands that they thought they could get cheaper.
No.
And the crowd complained, and less people turned up.
Mate, the night after, come on, it was just
exactly.
It was lots of fun because because we did that whole thing of getting guests up on stage.
Yeah.
Well, you guys had John English and
we had all sorts.
What's his name for Rose Tattoo? Angry and
Bob Maher always said John Anderson's biggest thing in that day and creating that was sending a few people across the road to the roadies at the entertainment centre, give them a couple of $100 drink card each and say, come across the road, free drinks. So all the stars would come up.
Yeah, Simply Red and all those guys.
They'd see the band and go, wow, what a good band. Can I get on stage? It was Simply Red, there was Eurythmics.
Everybody, Doc Neeson,
everybody.
All those guys used to go up there. Yeah, Institution.
We're doing a Gobbles reunion on June the 3rd at the Charles Hotel. Here we go. I'm advertising the Charles Hotel again. And Redmond's going to come along and sing. I know you're away, so you can't.
Unfortunately, I'd love to.
You're going on a holiday.
Yeah.
But I rang Bob a couple of months ago and said, Bob, look, putting this thing together again for Gobbles reunion. And he said, Gary Dunn. He said, I love you. And I said, you've always got a way with words, Bob. And he said, well, you made me lots of money for 10 years. And I said, no, I was only there for 8.5. He said, oh, whatever. So it was always...
they were great times. I mean, it'll probably never happen again, that sort of thing.
No, 8.5 years in one place.
Yeah.
Long time.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll move away from that. And I'll just ask you... other jobs throughout your life. What have you done? Because every musician has to supplement his income in some way. And
started off working in kitchenware at 16 at Grace Brothers Broadway in Sydney, followed by menswear department. And at 16 and a half, the head guy there, who I thought was really old, he was probably about 18, said, "I'm going into Checkers nightclub in Sydney. Do you want to come?" This was another seminal moment in my musical career. And I said, "Yeah, I'd love to, but I'm only 16 and a half. And he went, "No worries, we'll just, chuck a tie on you, we'll put a jacket on, I know the guy on the door." So I get into Checkers and it's Sherbet playing there.
Yep.
So I'm just Darryl Braithwaite and everything. It's just this, nightclub, a bit like Gobbles.
Yep.
And it's there, and they were fantastic. One of the best, they were one of the best bands in Australia for sure, bar none. Musically, fantastic. So I ended up, years down the track, being a roadie for Sherbs.
Wow.
Yeah, for about 6 months, did an Eastern States tour with them. That was in between Jimmy and the Boys and coming to Perth.
Yeah.
Roadied for them, roadied for Air Supply. bunches of people. And then what else have I done? Worked at 96 FM.
Yep.
Worked in radio for about 7 years.
You stole my question down here.
Sorry.
The producer's going to get really angry.
No, you did ask me.
No, fair enough. Your radio days.
Yeah, radio days. Yeah, how the heck did I get into radio? Again, Paul Redman, I'll blame him for this one.
Yeah.
We were writing jingles for people back in the
That's right.
80s, sort of late 80s, early 90s. And John Gardner was the DJ at Gobbles.
Yes.
And he said, oh, you should come down. He was also DJ at 6IX, which was the Eagle radio station.
Yes.
They were trying to get the FM license.
Channel 7.
Channel 7. He said, come down, we've got a great recording studio and, you know, maybe you guys can use the recording studio. So Paul and I go down to check out the recording studio at Channel 7. We're in there and we're listening to tapes that they're playing of comedy that is being sent from the eastern states to be played on the Eagle radio station breakfast show. And they were sort of pitched, they were owned by Oz Stereo.
Yeah.
They were sort of like a morning zoo kind of show. And the comedy was just weak as. And Paul and I are listening to it and we're going, oh God, this is crap, and just denigrating it to the max. Unbeknownst to us, the general manager of the radio station standing right behind us. And he just said, who the are you guys and what the are you doing here, and get the out of here. And I went, oh, sorry. And then Paul launched into, oh, I'm Paul Redman. I used to play in Kids in the Kitchen, and we write we write jingles, and we do this, and we write comedy, and da-da-da-da-da. And he went, oh yeah, well, what's wrong with this stuff? And we said, well, it's not, you know, generic for Perth, you know, it's not parochial enough, and blah, 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 blah. And he went, okay. Right, well, if you guys think you can write some stuff, how about writing some stuff for the breakfast show, and we'll give you some free recording time.
Yeah.
So that's how all of that started.
Yeah.
Started writing some little comedy skits, doing song parodies and this and that. And next minute, we're on, we're doing voiceovers and stuff for the radio station for the breakfast show. And yeah.
I remember I used to get calls, you know, about skits.
Yeah?
You know, and
to play? And
no, there's a story. You know, someone's been pinching newspapers from the next doors.
Oh,
you know,
really?
and all that sort of thing. But
yeah.
That's another story. So let's go sideways a bit.
Yeah.
Who were you listening to on your car on the way here? What music?
What music? I listen to 6PR. I'm getting old. I listen to 6PR. I listen to Talkback. No, who do I listen to? I probably just plug in the iPhone.
Yes.
And listen to Steely Dan and all sorts of different people. Pretty eclectic.
Favourite band of all time?
Oh, man. Led Zeppelin?
Led Zeppelin?
Probably. Saw them in 1973 at Sydney Cricket Ground.
Great choice, yeah.
Fantastic band. Just amazing.
If you were deserted on a
desert
island and you
Michelle Pfeiffer?
No,
something
girls.
else? No girls. Oh, right, okay.
So which album would you take with you? You can only listen to music.
Abbey Road.
Abbey Road?
Yeah,
wow.
I think so. Or probably there's so many Beatles albums. Probably it'd be a Beatles album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know our listeners out there want to know what your favourite TV show was when you were growing up. So could you tell us that?
Favourite TV show would probably be Lost in Space.
Lost in Space?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Dr. Smith?
Dr. Smith, you bubble-headed booby.
So
it's always a bit sus, you know, him going off with Willie out, you know, looking for the robot.
Will Robinson.
Yeah,
to say that. Will Robinson. Anyway, I watched a little bit of that. So what does the future hold for you, Michael? Have you fulfilled all your ambitions as far as music goes?
Oh, God, probably. I'm getting too old. Not really. No, you never fulfill all your ambitions, I don't think, in life. You just keep striving for that next thing.
I've noticed on Facebook that your drone.
Oh yeah, doing a bit of droning. Bought a drone about a year or so ago, and now everybody's buying drones and trying to get drone licenses and you know, earn money and do things with them. That was my sort of thought, but these days it's more of a hobby. But we'll see what happens down the track.
And you do have a floor sanding.
I've got a floor sanding, Federation Floor Sanding, Federation Floor Sanding, 0438 888 123. Give me a call.
I love that. So Okay, East Coast scene versus West Coast scene. Let's go back there. What was the difference?
Oh, well, I mean, there's lots of cover bands in the West Coast scene. That's what blew me out, just coming over here, because, I mean, I grew up in Sydney, and the band scene there was pretty torrid, and there was lots of people to go and see. I went to Sunbury, hitchhiked down there when I was about 18, and just used to follow all those sort of bands. Got Go Set magazine, you remember Go Set, and Duke magazine and all that. I used to read about, there'd be a little bit down the bottom Perth scene, you know, and there'd be sort of Fatty Lumpkin, Beagle Boys, Bakery. What a fantastic band they were. I saw them at the Hordern Pavilion, and they sort of blew me out. Really good.
Probably the best.
So, yeah, I didn't really know much about Perth, so when I came here it sort of blew me out that there was all these, you know, cover bands.
It's funny because over east was probably more original.
Oh, totally.
You know, and lots of smaller places. Whereas here, when you got here and you had the, you know, the overflow and the raffles, and just massive rooms.
Massive rooms.
Bands playing covers, playing other people's music, and people just turning up and paying money and
in their droves. But I mean, that was the thing. They couldn't get to see the original bands that were, you know, over in the eastern states. But like you say, the little tiny venues in Sydney, there's heaps of them.
Do you collect anything?
Grandchildren.
How many have you got now?
There's 3. I don't collect grandchildren, really. You're safe, kids.
No, look, I'm the same as you, mate.
3 grandkids. How many have you got?
4.
4?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It comes with the age, I think.
I'll have to talk to my son.
Get him off his butt.
Yeah, but they're great. I guess that's sort of my hobby at the moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
And what would you put on your gravestone, Michael? Is there something?
Oh, I'd take 2 steps back. I like, and I know, I saw Dave Crosby said the other night, and I always loved it, Spike Milligan's, you know, I told you I was sick. Please.
That's got to be the funniest one.
Yeah.
No one believed him.
Yeah, I told you I was ill. Yeah, something like it. It'd have to be something funny, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Okay, no problem. Well, do you want to do a 50-50 on that, or phone a friend, or?
I'll have to come back and let you know.
Okay. Last thing.
No,
okay.
I'll be back.
I'll be back. Okay. The last thing is, I can't even think of it now.
Really?
The producer's telling me to ask you. Yes, I know what it is. I've just remembered. I'm getting old too, I think.
You get an earpiece.
So, no. Is there something that you can tell our audience that nobody knows about? There's something that's
something about me?
Somewhere, yes. You're the person I'm interviewing.
I would have liked to have been a dancer, but I can't. I can't dance to save my life.
Okay.
I do the dad dance, you know, and it's just.
What sort of dancing would you?
Just any sort of professional dancing would have been great.
Okay.
But you know, I would have loved to. I'd love to be able to do it to this day, but I'm hopeless.
I've got a few dancing teachers I could recommend to you if you want to get into it.
What are they like?
Yeah. They're nice. They're good. Yeah.
Okay.
I can't dance
How
either.
old?
Michael, look, pleasure, absolute pleasure to see you.
Thanks,
and to get an insight into your life. Just want to say, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you subscribe, we'll be able to let you know when the next episodes are coming up and keep you informed. Look, you've been a great sport, mate.
Mate, thanks
really,
a lot.
Really good stories. And
it's been fun.
Thanks so much for coming in.
No worries.
Michael Parks, good night. Thank you very much.